And good evening. Thank you very much for being with us, everybody. Our top story, the Portland police officer who shot and killed an unarmed black man has been fired today. 3 others are now suspended.
KT's Margie Lynch talked to witnesses, police, and the mayor. So, Margie, the grand jury cleared the officers, but this investigation shows some tragic mistakes were made.
That's right, Deb. Very controversial. A series of mistakes and a lack of communication among officers that night that led to Aaron Campbell's death. A grand jury cleared them of criminal wrongdoing, but an internal investigation found the mistakes were so out of line with Bureau policy, the officers who made them need to be punished. Ryan Pinnell watched from his Sandy Terrace apartment as first Portland police officer Ryan Luton fired 6 beanbag rounds at Aaron Campbell, unarmed but distraught. Then he watched as Officer Ron Freshour fatally shot Campbell in the back.
He had his hands up in the air and his pants down below his butt. You could see it while he was backing up. They had nothing in his waistband.
The police chief today fired Freshour, suspended Luton, and 2 sergeants also on scene that night of January 29. Mayor Sam Adams says the investigation into the shooting death showed no evidence the officers acted maliciously.
But it did show that decisions are made outside of city policy about the use of force and outside of the training that we give our officers.
Campbell's family has said he was distraught over the loss of his brother, who died earlier that day. His girlfriend had called 911 with a plea for help and a warning.
Can I also tell you just proceed with caution because he already wants the police to kill him. His brother just died this morning, so that's where his mind is.
Police Union President Daryl Turner says Campbell's girlfriend also said Campbell was armed at one point with a gun and that he had fired that gun earlier. He says officers did follow
Well,
policy.
obviously these officers and sergeants are used as political scapegoats because obviously that reduces the city's and the Bureau's civil and political liability to be able to hold 4 officers up front rather than hold a system up front.
The controversial police shooting raised a public outcry, so big that Reverend Jesse Jackson made a visit to Portland with stern words against Portland police violence.
It doesn't bring Aaron back, but
Pinnell says the decision to fire Freshour isn't perfect, but he says he's satisfied that strong disciplinary action was taken and hopes it sends a message to Portland police.
it's hard to like rationalize it all, you know, because it shouldn't have happened. As simple as that, it shouldn't have happened.
Now, the Campbell family wouldn't comment on camera today, but they did say in a written statement that they appreciate the public's support and interest in this and that they believe justice will take its course.
Okay, Margie, thank you.
Thank you, Margie. The internal investigation into the shooting faults Officer Freshour over and over again for misreading the situation and deciding to shoot Aaron Campbell.
On your side, investigator Tom Jensen has been poring over all these documents. So, Tom, the chief listed 19 specific factors that showed Aaron Campbell wasn't a threat to officers.
Internal Affairs investigators go into great detail about what Freshour did wrong. In fact, from the start, they say Freshour was focused on sighting in his sniper rifle and was not listening to commands being shouted by other officers around him. And there's a lot more. According to this internal investigation into the Aaron Campbell shooting by the Use of Force Review Board, quote, Freshour was so rigid in his interpretation of the situation that he does not recognize that being hit by the beanbag gun would cause pain. Investigators said when Campbell reached into his waistband after being beanbagged in his back twice, Freshour could not acknowledge that those beanbag rounds were painful. In fact, the investigators said when Freshour is asked in IA if he ever considered that Campbell may be unarmed, and his answer indicated that he never considered the possibility that he may be unarmed. Investigators also found that Freshour was unable or unwilling to change his mindset even after Aaron Campbell released the children from the apartment and complied by coming out of the apartment with his hands above his head. In the newsroom, Tom Jensen, K2 News.
And Tom, thank you. 3 other officers will receive 80-hour unpaid suspensions. The review faulted Sergeant Liani Reyna for a lack of communication at the scene and for declining an offer by several officers to assist. The review says Sergeant John Birkenbein didn't communicate critical information to other officers and didn't coordinate with the incident supervisor. And Officer Ryan Luton, he fired the beanbag rounds at Campbell, which was found to be outside Bureau policy. He's also faulted for not taking steps to de-escalate the situation.